Hi, welcome to another episode of Tell Me How You're Mighty. It's Tracy Shorn, Chump Lady here with Sarah Gorel. And today we're going to talk about that very common chump condition, the pick me dance. And the pick me dance, for those who don't know it, is when you're an unknowing chump and your partner is engaged in an affair, their attentions are elsewhere, and you're doing all these things to win them back and improve yourself to redirect their attention back to your relationship. And the pick me dance, you can also, once an affair is discovered and there's the affair partner, then you're always doing a game of compare and contrast to try to be better. And the cheater usually is giving you pointers on how you can improve yourself to win them back. But Sarah, as we know, the game is rigged, right? And you can't win the pick me dance.
And yeah, exactly. And it's the only winner is the person at the heart of the pick me dance, the person that is conducting the picking, who's got two or more people dancing over their attentions, and it just gives them that heightened sense of magnificence and look how special I am. And in fact, I think sometimes the pick me dance is what makes the affair even more exciting to them.
Oh yeah, they need that triangulation. I mean, certainly like affair partners think they're in it to win it and are contrasting, themselves to the drudge that is the chump and all the ways that they fail to enchant and, they're just extra sparkly. Um, but as we know, it's only the cheater who's in the center of this for all the drama that is the winner and all this, and the only thing to do is to leave. But today I reached out to social media and I asked our listeners to tell us about their pick me dances. And the first one is Mary.
Hello, Tracy. This is Mary Galladay. I'm calling to tell you about my pick me dance. I schemed, plotted, planned, and did my very best to be the perfect Stepford military wife for, well, 33 years until I ran out the door. I volunteered. I gave away my labor. I had the perfect home. I scrubbed floors. Worked so hard to have my children be perfect. Um, Took the kids to all their appointments. I, I did everything to be the perfect wife to make him happy. And then TMI, but I will tell you, I never said no to any of his requests in the bedroom. I was happy to accommodate him. I let him debase me for his own pleasure. I participate in activities that I found physically uncomfortable because that's what he wanted. I did everything to make him happy. I cooked only the foods that he liked. I loved onions. I love them. I eat onions joyfully. I couldn't even have one in the house or he would be angry. And if he smelled one, he would make gagging noises and leave the houses. So I gave up onions for 33 years. Gave just ridiculous things. I also came to tell you about the pick me dancing when I knew he was cheating. I knew who he was cheating with. And I did my very best to let him know that, his family and his wife are more important than that woman. I tolerated him openly dating her. I let that woman be in my house when I knew they were having an affair. One time she came over and brought him his favorite German chocolate cake that she had made. That was such a slap and offense, but I never confronted either of them. It took him pulling a gun out of the gun safe as we were arguing for me to end my pick me dance. It was a ridiculous thing, and still need therapy to get over all that.
Okay, Sarah, German chocolate cake and rifles. What do you think?
It's just it's unbelievable, isn't it? It's absolutely shocking, and it just highlights the level of abuse that goes on during these pick me dances and the kind of behavior that people are dealing with.
Yeah, in this case, like literal abuse. I mean, the guy, it's like domestic violence, when he's picking up a gun during an argument, that kind of shakes her out of this. And I thought it was interesting too that she talks about the ones that she did know, the other woman that she invited into her home. And then the ones that she didn't know, where she's trying to contrast the marriage, going, don't you want to save this? Look at everything we have together. Shouldn't this be important to you? And I think when you get to that point, when you are begging somebody to pay attention to things that they absolutely should pay attention to, like their children, like their home, their marriage, it's over, right? It's just some kind of dancing with a corpse thing you're doing. Um,
But
to,
they throw you little crumbs so that it makes you feel like you can potentially
yeah.
win. But I think this story highlights more than anything that, it's an insight into the kind of people that you are dealing with, the kind of behavior that you're faced with.
Yeah. And as I write a lot, people who love you would never, ever goad you into a humiliating contest, right? Only Caesar does that in a Colosseum with lions. Like people who love you don't do that. So I thought we could read some of these. Do you want to do the first one?
Right. You see, I find these almost unbearably sad. I
Yeah.
wrote him love letters. Then one day, while meeting with my lawyer, she looked me in the eye and she said, "Stop the love letters." I was shocked. I said, "How do you know about the love letters?" She said he's forwarded them all to his attorney, and she told my attorney about them. It was humiliating for me, sad for me. It's painful to type this 9 years later. That's just the ultimate humiliation, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and it just shows that they'll use anything. They'll weaponize anything, including your love letters. And that's why no contact. It's so hard to do in the beginning, but like you can't don't send the 14-page single space letter. Don't do it. Don't emotionally vomit on a fuckwit because they just take it as centrality. And in this case, they're like using it against you in a divorce. See how
It's just the
loved I
most
am?
It displays the most staggering lack of empathy that someone can pour their heart out to you, say how much they love you, and you will use that in a case again. I mean, it's just uh, awful, awful behavior that shows a complete lack of humanity.
Well, totally. And the power imbalance. And also they need that to contrast it with their terrible deeds. Now, the chump doesn't realize that she's in the power seat probably during the divorce. She could use all his terrible deeds against him, assuming, it's a fault or someone cares. But nonetheless, she would look better if his terrible acts just spoke for themselves without any commentating from her that she loves him. But instead, he can bathe himself in all these glowing recommendations of how loved he is, and that offsets his terrible behavior. And yeah, it's staggering, right? But they'll do it.
I think the line is it was humiliating for me, sad for me, painful to type this 9 years later. The only person humiliated in this is him. He's the one who's shown him to be an awful, awful
Right.
person. Of course, it feels humiliating, but actually, it's not you that should feel humiliated. It's him for
Absolutely.
behaving in that fashion.
You just loved with your whole heart. And the other thing is after a D-Day or you're going through divorce, it's raw, right? You're in a very vulnerable place. You're wobbly. So, if you did this, if you sent a love letter, if you emotionally vomited on a fuckwit, do not beat yourself up. You're a good person because you have feelings and you care. Oh, okay.
Okay. So we got more here. What's the
Oh,
second
there's
one?
so many more. Okay. I cooked some elaborate meals, which he ate with gusto and a dismissive shrug. The memory of me numbly standing over the stove, dazed like I'd recover a blow to the head, are seared in my brain. And this is like the whole devaluing thing. Like, your pick me dances, you are going to cook a dazzling meal. You're going to make something wonderful. And and then he just, shrug. What else you got? Like,
And you're doing this while I mean a lot of the time you're doing this pick me dance behavior. Some you don't know necessarily there's an affair, but you know there's something going on because their behavior changes so dramatically and they become absolutely awful a lot of the time. So you try and win them back.
yeah, with your
And
favorite
and
meals.
this awful behavior. So actually the day I discovered my husband's affair, I was doing exactly that, cooking an elaborate meal, pleased with myself. I'd gone up, I'd got all his favorite ingredients, favorite stuff. And so it's I don't think it's an unfamiliar thing for you to be, giving it your all, trying your best, and meanwhile, they are just becoming worse and worse with their behavior.
Right. And also it's that oh, it's such a power play. I mean, the shrug, it's like, of course this is what you do, Sarah. Of course you cook me wonderful meals. I am so deserving. And you are such a wife appliance or, a spousal appliance to cook the meal. It is such a move to keep you in your place. If you praise them, if you acknowledge the beautiful meal, then you would be giving them power. You'd be treating them like an equal, like somebody worthy of respect. But when you treat them like Dobby the house elf, you know, then yeah, then your entitlement is preserved. You don't have to thank the little people. Ugh.
There's so much in here that really demonstrates the lengths that people went to preserve their relationship. So lost £100, became perfect, which was not me. Got very hard on the kids to become perfect, to do over the entire house, and squelch all of my hurt, resentment, self worth, and who I was, which was magnificent in my own light. And you just think that, the level, losing £100,
Yeah.
the level of dedication and work and commitment, and then you just know what's going on, that this person is still carrying on their behavior regardless, completely unmoved by how much someone wants to keep them in their life, save the relationship.
Yeah, well, I hope that the person who wrote enjoys all those self improvements for her own self, and it sounds like she does. That she realizes that she's magnificent in her own light. But the part that kind of resonated with me, and again, this is a familiar chump refrain, is that she squelched all of her hurt. She just focused on all the ways that she could improve herself, all the things that she could do to become more worthy and more lovable. If it was lose weight, she's losing weight. If it's keeping the kids better behaved and being a hard ass as a parent, she's doing that. Anything to not disturb him. And then all the rightful anger and hurt and feelings that she has about being betrayed, she's internalized because she has to believe it's about her. She has to believe it's about her unlovability. And so all of that gets suppressed. And oh, it's so misdirected. It's so misdirected. And that's such a common thing. And of course, the reconciliation industrial complex tells you to do exactly that. you know, what
But it
needs.
never tells you. It never tells. So she lost £100, and the irony is that anybody conducting an affair who's lost a weight has done it not for you, but for their affair partner. And you're constantly being told, work on yourself, improve yourself, show them what you're missing. And but you're working to win somebody back who has never done that for you. It's only after they waltz off into the distance that you actually realization strikes, and you realize that they may well have been sort of suggesting that you are the the reason that the relationship's broken down because of your behavior. But actually, you look back and it's always down to, it's not just you. Inevitably, their behavior from the very beginning has been questionable.
Yeah, right. And yeah, there's never any reciprocity. That's that that's the sign that you're in a bad relationship. Okay, here's another one for us. I threw her a surprise birthday party. I am so ashamed. Dude, I don't know what you have to be ashamed about. That's a nice thing to do, to throw somebody a surprise birthday party, but it's of course only afterwards that you feel like an idiot, like a chump, because you're like, I threw her a party and all the time she was cheating on me, you know? Or maybe he knew, I don't know, and then that was part of his pick me dance. Look, I can throw you a great party.
But I
Oh,
think it's really sad that people feel a sense of shame about behaving in a really lovely way, doing something lovely for someone, and the fact that their behavior, their reaction to it is not your shame to have, it's their shame to have.
yeah. Well, maybe the shame is, and of course, we don't have the full story, but maybe it's because he knew he was in a pick me dance, and looking back, he feels really sorry that he tried to curry favor or that he did something nice for someone who had been so heartless to him. And I think, it's pretty normal to have those regrets as a chump. Like, I can't believe I cooked that dinner. I can't believe I did these things. I gave that free legal advice in the case of, whatever it was. It,
I feel particularly sorry for people that get more than one D-Day though, and this is
yeah,
an example of that. So between two different D-Days, 13 years apart. So this is 13 years probably of pick me dancing and making sure that you met all the needs that had been questioned before. Lost weight, dyed hair, more sex, apologized for my shortcomings, tried to get into probably no less than 10 different, usually expensive hobbies of his, let him blow all our money on whatever new toy he wanted because his happiness was everyone's number one priority. Said shit like, you can't make new old friends because he'd only known the affair partner for a year and me for 20. Said we could open up the relationship before realizing a week later that just means that she gets all the fun stuff and I have to live with your untreated bipolar while doing the lion's share of parenting. I mean, what a prolonged period to go through the pick me dance, to be doing all this dancing, to be making all these promises
yeah.
with at the back of your mind knowing that this person was likely to cheat again.
Yeah, and to take a step back too, I would say to this person, I'm like, or I would have if she was in the middle of the pick me dance then, and go like, what are you doing? This guy is a bipolar guy who's cheated on you, who spends too much money. He probably goes manic and like buys boats. I don't know what he does, but he's not a safe partner. He's not a good partner. This is not someone you want to be partnered with. And you're doing all the hard work. Like she says, she's doing all the parenting work. And as they are quote unquote opening their relationship, he's having fun with the mistress. I, yeah, it's just you matter. Everybody, you matter. You don't have to put up with crap just to be in a relationship. It's not worth it, right? Okay. All right. This is a sad one. But again, to the point, there are real costs to being chumped that people don't talk about. This one is I lost so much weight that my breast milk dried up. And I didn't realize it. And my baby, who was 10 months old, kept wanting more and more baby cereal because it had formula in it. Also, we were in marriage counseling, and I had to make a list that of things that I did that took time away from our relationship. I think reading was about all I could come up with. I distinctly remember feeling bad about reading books, shaking my head. Oh, the quack therapy, okay, that she has to make a list of all the things that she does to take away from their relationship, like what, breastfeeding or reading. She's all in. He's cheating. Like, in what world is she like being called upon to blame herself? This makes me so mad, Sarah.
And she has a baby, he's cheating while she and this isn't an uncommon theme, isn't it? Hear so many stories like of people. I'll never forget the story of the man that was resentful of his wife being in labor and he wanted to watch the Star Wars DVD
Yes, that
and
was
was
the
angry when
worst.
it concluded before, with the labor concluded before his DVD. But it's
Yeah,
so common, isn't it, to see really selfish, awful, cheating behavior when people at their most vulnerable, when you've made the joint commitment to bring a child into the world, and
right.
then rather than offering your unquestioning support, you expect, you've become resentful because of the commitment of that child, or that it might potentially lead to someone putting on weight or not focusing all their attention on you.
Yeah.
It's just staggering.
Are there ways to have babies where you don't gain weight? I like the fact that this woman lost so much weight that her breast milk dried up. I mean, that just out. That's a sucker punch right there. And but really, the marriage counseling is what makes me the most angry because I'm like, first of all, I imagine that the marriage counselor has a one size fits all Xerox sheet of workbook questions that she just hands out. Okay, list everything that you were doing that was detracting from the relationship. And like, you just had a baby. Nobody has any free time. You have no margin when you have a baby. None. It all goes to the baby. Or to your job, or to the occasional shower to wash vomit out of your hair. Nobody has extra time. And the fact that she's being called to the carpet on that, it just, ugh, I want to punch that therapist. So,
The next one shows a remarkable level of dysfunction, says, I didn't even know I was at the dance. He kept asking me to do more, wear this outfit to the next formal dinner. He wanted me to dye my hair red, wear my reading glasses out, cook vegetarian meals, lose more weight, get liposuction, don't hang out with certain women military wife friends I had anymore. I thought it was because he was aiming for a second general officer's star, which he was, but the affair partner wore glasses, is a vegetarian, had dyed her hair red at the time. All things I learned after he ran. He was trying to turn me into her. Creepy as hell to know now. I mean, that's just weird.
Bonkers, completely bonkers, but not unheard of. I get letters like this all the time. And it goes the other way too, where affair partners are chosen who look just like a different version of the chump, or in this case, the cheater wants the chump to become more like the other woman, to have all these superficial characteristics in common. It's so controlling and Pygmalion and creepy. Like, yeah, and it's unknowing, right? She doesn't even know she's being compared and contrasted and molded. Ugh. Ugh. I mean, the liposuction and the fact that someone wants you to make permanent changes to your body to be something you're not. Yeah.
It's just what did he want? A matching pair? What was he doing? It's
Oh
just
no, he's gonna have a
very
harem of like cyborg clones. They're all going to
yeah, red-haired,
vegetarian.
glasses-wearing vegetarians. Is that what he was after? What was motivating this behavior?
I don't know. It's like, and you can't untangle the skein, right? Because it's just too bizarro. The only way to win this game is to step away and don't dance.
Well,
Don't
this
play.
highlights this, doesn't it? So what else have we got that's
Okay,
coming?
I like this one. I mowed the lawn in Daisy Dukes. First of all, Sarah, do you know what that is? A Daisy Duke? A Daisy
No,
Duke
I
is,
don't. No.
okay, yeah, I think it's an Americanism. Daisy Dukes are like really short shorts, like cut off jeans or something that show your ass cheeks. So they're called Daisy Dukes from a TV show called Dukes of Hazzard, where Daisy, one of the characters, had sexy short shorts. So
Yeah, I can imagine what they're like. Yeah, I can
yeah,
conjure up the.
so imagine like, yeah, short shorts, very short shorts. So I mowed the lawn in Daisy Dukes, his favorites, as he liked to see me doing manual labor for some bizarre reason. I generally seemed like the happiest woman on earth, not a care in the world. This is embarrassing. I even had supportive greeting cards from friends and male admirers, cough, cough, posted prominently on the fridge, in case anybody was looking. This was thanks to Michelle Weiner Davis's book, Divorce Busting. Some of the tips were show him what he's missing, do a 180. I had been distraught, angry, sobbing, and puking after D-Day. Now I was cheerful, lighthearted, and optimistic. Make the good marriage a good place to be. Yep, I cooked, cleaned, and made myself presentable. Inside, I was dying. And I never complained about his incredible, brutal betrayal and discard. Alas, or maybe thank goodness, none of this worked. He knew I had seen him for what he was, and he knew it was over, and that I would never feel the same way about him again or trust him. Oh, the Daisy
And
Dukes didn't work.
no, and it's just that, the level that we're encouraged to go to. And I read that advice as well when I discovered my husband was having an affair, and I did all of that stuff. And it's just so humiliating, isn't it, really, when you're desperately doing all of that and then still you get that horrible cold treatment, that feeling that you're a failure, that feeling that you're not good enough and there's something better out there. And then little snippets because they want you to carry on, pick me, they love it.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of a snippet saying, "Oh yes, it's all right, it's you, not her," and then they're back to their old ways again.
Well, and also, it's so inauthentic, right? This advice from Michelle Weiner Davis, and we've discussed the 180 before, be cheerful in the face of betrayal. It's that you have to eat, not only do you have to perform at this higher level, but you have to eat the shit sandwiches. Like, your feelings do not matter. What matters is the impression that you're giving, is fronting this fake happiness that you don't feel. Because you don't want to scare them off with all your negativity, Sarah. You don't want to do that.
No. So
I
I think really what all of these examples demonstrate is that does anyone win the pick me dance? Does
well,
anybody ever say,
here.
right, I was having an affair, but it's okay because now you mow the lawn in the Daisy Dukes, then it's fine. I'm coming back to you. She's gone. I'm staying. It never works, does it?
No, it doesn't. I have one more that I didn't, I just one extra one here to that point that it never works. It says, I sat on the sofa exhausted. I was 6 months pregnant with my second child, but I also Googled the four of them, affair partners, to see how they compared to me. Some were much older than I was, some were much younger. I arranged and paid for couples therapy. I sat there and cried and got angry, and he sat there, cool as a cucumber, and explained all my faults to me. I tried to be sexy and was turned down. I felt even worse about the body faults, quote unquote, I had. Some bits were too big and some bits were too small, compounded by the fact I wasn't good enough. It feels like I'm writing about somebody else, but that really happened to me. I, I mean, yeah, to your point, where do they get off sitting there judging you? You know, I'm sorry, your whatever, your ass is too small and your tits are too small and whatever. It's just, are you a piece of meat? Like, and that this happened in a counseling office? Oh,
And also you can get all these things right. So you can get yourself in the perfect body shape or whatever it was they want. But then there'll be something else. It will never be good enough, will it? There will always be something else looming.
right. Well, that's because it's a power trip, right? And the goalposts will move. Like no sooner did you lose the baby weight or get bigger tits or whatever it was, than now there's a different demand. And that's why you have to step back and go, these demands aren't reasonable. And like, how come I don't get to make demands? And why am I not in this equation? Um, the whole game is rigged, right? It's just all about preserving entitlement. But I think when you're in it, and we could read these stories and think, oh, these people are pathetic. Why are they doing this? Because you know we've done it. But when you're living it, it just feels like you're trying to save something very important. You know, it's your family, it's everything you know, right? It's your safety, and you want to preserve it. It's terrible that you're put in this position, but I think when you're in the middle of it, it's just really hard to not pick me dance.
I think as well, you enter a world where you think there are winners and losers, and you think that if you don't save your marriage or your relationship, you're in the loser camp. If you
Yeah.
manage to hold on to it, you're a winner. And I used to read all sorts of forums where you'd read other people going through the same thing, and if they said, "Oh, he's dumped the affair partner," you'd think, "Yeah, that's what I'm aiming for. That's what." And anyone that said, "Oh, no, that's it, I'm divorcing him," you'd kind of feel desperately sorry for them. You'd think, "Oh, you didn't. I'm. That's not going to be me. I'm
You
going to
didn't
win.
get a
It's going to
passing
be
grade,
fine."
right? Yeah, nobody's saying the obvious, which is you don't control any of this. You don't control if he runs off with the affair partner. You don't control if he finds you winsome. You only have what's acceptable to you. And if they're behaving in ways that are unacceptable to you, then you have to do the hard thing and you have to live that. That means you end it, you have boundaries, you do the hard things because this person isn't treating you with respect. But it's the siren song that you can fix it and that you can try harder through the pick me dance to win them back. I mean, what the hell are you winning? Somebody sits in therapy and tells you when you're 6 months pregnant that you're not, your body has flaws. I mean, I just, ugh, ugh.
Any other area of work where this was going on? If you say if you're going to work and your employer was treating you in an appalling fashion, you wouldn't just work harder and harder and harder and harder to make them appreciate you. You'd have boundaries. But it's because, your personal life, you kind of think that you can become this perfect partner. And a lot of the reasons that they've changed is because life changes. You start off and it's all skipping through the daisies and it's all joyful and there's no responsibilities. Then children come along, money becomes more of an issue, life gets more expensive, there's grown up things to sort out, and you get the blame, I think, in my experience, and being the one that does the grown up things. And they don't like that. They want to carry on at that sort of adolescent phase of the early stage of a relationship rather than having the big grown up responsibilities.
Yeah. Although I think the pick me dance is pretty universal. I think people can do it as teenagers dating. I mean, it's a basic fuckwit move. But the stakes are absolutely much higher when you're an adult and you have real adult responsibilities. Because you can't be enchanting every damn minute. You just can't be. Nobody is. And also,
and sometimes you'll pick me dancing, and you'll pick me dancing. So you're the one, like the example of the person with a young baby.
mhm.
You'll pick me dancing while you're trying to bring up a young baby with somebody who might be the young, carefree affair partner from the office who doesn't have children. So it's never going to be a level playing field.
Yeah, it's not a fair fight. But also how sad these people's worlds are. To be a cheater. Why isn't a new baby enchanting? Why doesn't that fill you with joy? Why the absolute lack of appreciation they have for their partners? That's the other big step back. Like, why would you want to be with somebody who has such a limited range of what brings them joy? And who is so focused on your faults. I mean, which is a kind of projection, right? They're out there cheating on you, but you could stand to lose a few pounds. I mean, why do you want to be in that world? It's so we think that we can improve ourselves and make it go back to to daisies, but to feeling safe. Like, we just want to feel safe and loved and secure. It's a pretty basic human thing. Yeah, the pick me dance is a trap. It's a
And
trap.
the thing is, if you win it, you're likely to be pick me dancing on numerous occasions in the future as well. It's not something that you win.
Yeah, you never hang up the tap shoes. Never ever. It just goes on. Like, there's a good reason to not stay with a cheater. Yeah. The pick me dance is true. And then if you're ever jealous that your cheater wound up with the affair partner, oh man, now that affair partner, you just pass the tap shoes on to that person. They now have to be magnificent all the time. They're cooking the meals and getting ignored. So, or what in the case of your case, fighting over Sainsbury bags or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not happy on the other side at all. Yeah. So pick me dance. Don't do it.
Yeah, make your life a dance-free environment, unless it's dancing to your own tune for your own reasons. Take a dance class, but don't dance to his tune.
That wraps another episode of Tell Me How You're Mighty. You want to leave us a mighty story or a fuckwit of the week submission? Check out our new website, tellmehowyou'remighty.com. That's yours spelt YOURE. We've got all the episodes, show notes, links to our guests, and you can see the tea room where Sarah and I first met. If you enjoyed this episode, please review the podcast and follow us. Thanks. See you next week.